I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. To set the stage, I'm Mike, 33 years old, married to Lauren for about 3 years now. We met in college, and everyone said we were perfect for each other. She was smart, beautiful, and I thought I'd finally found someone who'd stick around. Our wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, surrounded by family, friends, laughter, and love. But honestly, things started feeling off even before the big day. Lauren always had this vibe, kind of bitchy, always snapping at people, quick to lie if it meant saving her own ass. She'd say she was busy, that she was stressed, that she was working late, but I noticed she was hiding her phone more than usual. She'd get defensive if I asked to see her texts or her phone. And little things like her suddenly changing her schedule or going out alone late at night started piling up. Still, I wanted to believe in her, in us. I kept telling myself that I was overthinking, that maybe I was just insecure or paranoid. The wedding itself was beautiful, though. I remember standing there, watching her walk down the aisle, feeling like the luckiest guy alive. But the day was a blur of happiness, nerves, and a little unease I couldn't quite shake. I was too caught up in the moment to notice the subtle weirdness that would later blow everything apart. It wasn't until the reception, after everyone had left and we were alone at the hotel, that things started to make sense, or so I thought. It was around midnight when I decided to check on Lauren. We just finished our first dance, and I remember feeling a strange sense of unease. I'd seen her texting a lot this week, more than usual, and I'd caught her lying about her phone a couple of times. I figured it was nothing, just work stuff or some kind of girl talk, but I wanted to see if she was okay. I told her I was going to the bathroom, but I didn't go. Instead, I followed her. It was reckless, I know, but something told me I had to see for myself. She slipped out of our hotel room quietly, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor. She wasn't wearing her usual makeup, which was strange. She always looked perfect. I kept my distance, following her down the hall, feeling my heart pounding in my chest. She headed toward the elevator, and I saw her meet up with a guy I recognized from her work, Mr. Anderson, her boss. I'd heard her mention him a few times, but I never really paid attention. They shared a quick, whispered conversation before stepping into the elevator together. My stomach clenched, and I knew I was witnessing something I shouldn't, but I couldn't stop myself from watching. The elevator ride seemed to last an eternity. When the doors opened at the hotel's lower level, I saw them walk into a nearby hotel bar. I stayed hidden behind the corner, watching as they sat close, whispering and giggling like they were having an affair right there in front of everyone. My mind was racing, trying to process what I was seeing. It wasn't just work. They weren't talking about some project. No, they looked like they were planning something more intimate. I saw her touch his arm, lean in close, and then their heads tilted together in a kind of secret, knowing way. I should have gone back to our room then, but I didn't. Instead, I kept watching from a distance, feeling like my world was collapsing around me. It was as if everything I believed in, my marriage, my wife's fidelity, was evaporating in that moment. I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't want to do it in the middle of a wedding night. Still, I couldn't pretend I didn't see what I saw. I never thought she'd betray me like this, especially not on the day we were supposed to start our life together. That moment stuck with me, ringing in my ears as I silently vowed that I'd find out the truth, no matter what it took. Getting back to the room after witnessing Lauren and her boss, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My mind was a tornado of confusion, rage, and heartbreak all at once. I remember standing there in the dark, trying to breathe, trying to process what I'd just seen. How could my wife, the woman I loved and married, be sneaking off to see her boss? It didn't make any sense, yet there it was, undeniable. I spent the next couple of hours pacing the room, replaying everything I saw, every detail, every whisper, every touch. My mind kept circling around the fact that she lied to me about her work, about helping him with some project. She told me she was busy, stressed, working late, when in reality she was probably screwing him in some hotel room. I kept asking myself, why? What the hell was she getting out of this? Was she bored? Did she think I wouldn't find out? Or worse, did she not care that I'd see? By the time dawn cracked through the curtains, I knew I couldn't stay silent. I had to confront her. The thought of her lying, smiling, acting innocent, while she was secretly sneaking around with her boss, made my blood boil. I couldn't sit there and pretend everything was fine anymore. I had to ask her. I waited until she woke up, feeling like I was walking on a ledge with a knife in my hand. When she finally opened her eyes, I looked her straight in the face. I could see the flicker of something in her eyes, annoyance, maybe, or just her usual bitchy attitude. I didn't call her out right away. Instead, I just said, "We need to talk now." Her eyes narrowed as if she knew what was coming, but she still put on that fake, innocent look. I told her what I saw last night, every detail, how I followed her, what I saw at the hotel bar. Her reaction was instant. She rolled her eyes, scoffed, and tried to brush it off like I was just being paranoid. "Oh, please, Mike," she snapped. "You're overreacting. It's not what you think. I was just helping him with some work stuff. You're being jealous and insecure." But I wasn't buying it, no way. I could see the lie in her eyes. She was trying to deny it, but her voice was shaky, her words weren't convincing. She kept spinning some bullshit about how she and her boss had a professional relationship, how he was just a mentor, how it was all innocent, that she was just helping him out because he was stressed and she was a good person. I felt like I was talking to someone completely different from the woman I married. It was like she was a different person. The Lauren I knew would never lie so easily, especially not about something this serious. I got angry, really angry. I told her I saw them sneaking into a hotel and she just shrugged it off like it was no big deal. That's when I realized she didn't care about me or how much she was hurting me. She just wanted to deny it to keep her secret. That betrayal hurt worse than anything else. I felt like I'd been hit by a freight train, like my entire world was shattering around me. All the trust, all the love I had for her, gone in an instant. And the worst part, she kept insisting she was innocent, that I was overthinking, that I was crazy, but I knew the truth. I saw the way they looked at each other, the way she touched him. It wasn't some innocent work thing, it was sex, more than sex, an affair. I couldn't keep my composure anymore. I told her to leave the room, to get out of my sight. I needed space to breathe, to think. She threw a fit, yelled at me, called me paranoid, said I was ruining her perfect day. But I didn't care. I just sat there, staring at the wall, feeling a mixture of sadness and rage boiling inside me. I realized I had a choice. I could pretend I didn't see, forgive her, and move on, like she wanted me to. Or I could face the brutal reality that my marriage was over. That moment marked the start of something I never expected. I knew I couldn't stay with her, not after this. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, like my entire sense of reality had been shattered. I didn't want to believe it at first, but the evidence was there, clear as day. And no matter how much she lied or tried to spin her way out of it, I knew the truth. Lauren was cheating on me, and she didn't even care enough to hide it well. That realization hurt worse than anything I'd ever felt before. After that confrontation, nothing was the same. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, everything around me blurred and distorted. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her and him together, her leaning into him, her hand on his chest, their heads close, whispering secrets I wasn't meant to hear. I kept replaying that scene, over and over, each time feeling more betrayed, more sick to my stomach. How could she lie so effortlessly? How could she betray me in such a cruel, calculated way, on the day we were supposed to start our new life? I didn't want to believe it. I kept telling myself it was just a phase, a mistake she'd regret. But deep down, I knew better. I knew she had been lying to me for weeks, maybe months. She'd been sneaking behind my back, hiding her phone, lying about her whereabouts. I started noticing small things, her changing her schedule again, her avoiding my gaze, her quickness to shut down any questions I had. It was like she was a different person, and I was just starting to realize it. The worst part was the feeling of helplessness. I didn't know how to confront her without losing my mind. I wanted to yell, to scream, to make her feel the pain she'd caused me, but I also knew that was pointless. She'd lied so much that any emotion I showed, any anger or tears, seemed to just bounce off her like water off a shield. I felt like I was losing control, like my world was unraveling. One night, I decided I had to get some space from her. I packed a bag and went to stay at my brother's place. I told Lauren I needed time to think, that I was overwhelmed, and she shot back with her usual smart-ass attitude. accusing me of overreacting, saying I was crazy, that she didn't want to lose her perfect life because I couldn't handle the truth. But I didn't care what she said anymore. I just needed distance, distance from the lies, the betrayal, the pain. While I was gone, I started digging into her phone. I wanted to find proof, something concrete that would give me clarity. I knew she'd be suspicious, so I wasn't reckless. I just looked at her messages, her calls, her social media. And what I saw made everything even worse. I found texts between her and her boss, flirty, suggestive messages that made my stomach turn. They weren't just talking about work. There was talk of meeting up, of secret plans, of wanting to be with each other alone. The kind of stuff you don't say unless you're cheating. I also discovered that she'd been to that hotel more than once, small visits here and there, always pretending it was work-related. I saw the receipts for her Uber rides, the hotel check-in times, the little clues that confirmed everything I'd suspected. She had been lying to my face all along. And the worst part, she knew I was onto her, but she kept doing it anyway. It hit me harder than I expected. This wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding. It was intentional, a deliberate betrayal. My wife, the woman I married, was having sex with her boss, sneaking around behind my back, making a fool of me in front of everyone. And I realized I couldn't stay in that house anymore, not with her. I felt crushed, angry, humiliated, like I'd been played for a fool. But at the same time, I knew I had to do something. I couldn't let her get away with it, not without consequences. Over the next few days, I mulled everything over. I thought about confronting her again, but I knew it wouldn't help. She'd just lie and deny, call me crazy, accuse me of being paranoid. I knew I needed to plan my next move carefully. I couldn't just blow up my life without thinking through the fallout. I decided that I'd gather more evidence, then sit her down and get the truth once and for all. If she was going to keep lying, then I'd make sure I had all the proof to finally make her face what she'd done. It was like I was preparing for a war I didn't want to fight but knew I had to win. In the meantime, I felt completely lost. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with him. The betrayal cut deep, and I started to wonder if I'd ever be able to trust anyone again. I never thought my marriage would end like this, not on my wedding night, not with her sneaking around, playing me for a fool. It was the kind of pain I wouldn't wish on anyone, and honestly, I still don't know how I kept it together during those dark days. All I knew was that I had to find a way out of this mess, even if it meant facing the harshest truth of all. The days that followed were a blur. I was stuck in this limbo of anger, heartbreak, and a creeping sense of betrayal that refused to fade. Every moment I was alone, I replayed everything I knew, her lies, her sneaking around, the details I uncovered from her phone. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't go back to pretending everything was fine. I had to do something, even if it terrified me. One night, I sat down with my phone, looking through everything I had collected. The messages, the hotel receipts, photos I managed to sneak from her social media, all of it. I wanted to be sure. I didn't want to confront her blindly, hoping she'd admit to everything. I needed proof that I could hold over her head, proof that would leave no doubt. As I scrolled through her messages, I saw her talking dirty to him, planning their next secret rendezvous. I saw her call him babe in one message, and my stomach sank. She was playing a dangerous game, and I was just another pawn in it. Eventually, I decided I would confront her, but I wanted to do it on my terms, in my own way. I knew she'd deny everything at first, call me crazy or insecure, but I had to break her down, make her face the severity of what she'd done. I knew I couldn't just blurt everything out. She'd spin it, lie her way out, and I'd be back to square one. Instead, I planned to lay it all out in front of her with evidence cold and hard so she couldn't deny it anymore. That's when I started thinking about my options. I wasn't naive. I knew this could destroy everything, but I couldn't live with the lie anymore. I decided I'd give her the chance to come clean, to tell the truth without me pushing her. But if she didn't, I'd have no choice but to take action. I wasn't going to be a fool, played for a fool, and left humiliated. I decided I'd wait until the right moment, gather all my evidence, and then confront her in a way that left no room for denial. Meanwhile, I kept my distance. I didn't answer her calls or texts. I stayed at my brother's place, trying to keep my mind from spiraling. She kept calling, sending texts, trying to apologize, though I knew those were probably fake. I didn't want to hear her lies anymore. I was too hurt, too angry. I just needed time to think, to plan my next move. Nothing about this was easy, and I felt like I was losing control of my own life. One evening, I decided to go back to the house, not to stay, just to look around. I needed to see if she'd left anything behind, if she'd taken anything that could be useful. When I got there, everything looked the same, except for the fact that her stuff was gone from the bedroom. I found her phone on the table, unlocked, with her messages still visible. I couldn't resist. I read through her recent texts again, and what I saw made my stomach churn. She was still planning to meet him, still hiding things from me. She was lying so brazenly. The betrayal hit me all over again, sharper this time. That night I sat in my car outside the house and looked at the front door. I realized this was it. I had to make a choice. Do I keep pretending everything's okay? Do I try to save what's left of us, or do I just cut my losses and walk away? The truth was, I wanted to believe that she'd come clean, that maybe she'd realize how much she'd hurt me and try to fix it. But deep inside, I knew that was probably never going to happen. She was the type to lie her way out of anything, to save herself at my expense. So I decided I'd give her one last chance, one shot at honesty, at coming clean. I told her I knew everything, that I had all the proof, and I wanted her to tell me the truth. If she did, maybe there was a chance to salvage something. If she lied again, I'd walk away. I was done being played. I was done being lied to. It was time to face the reality. I was betrayed, and I had to decide whether to fight for what was left or accept that it was over. That night I sat there in the dark, waiting for her to make the choice that would change everything. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I had been hit by a freight train. My mind was a mess of anger, pain, and a strange sense of clarity. I knew I couldn't go on pretending anymore, not after everything I had uncovered. I decided I'd confront her again, this time with everything laid out in front of her. I needed her to see the reality of what she'd done. No lies, no excuses, just the raw truth. I waited until she came over, acting like everything was normal, but I could see the nervousness in her eyes. She knew I wasn't stupid anymore. I looked at her and said, "We need to talk, honestly this time." Her face twisted in that bitchy, defiant way she always had. She tried to brush it off, act like I was overreacting, but I held up her phone and laid everything out on the table, her texts, the hotel receipts, the pictures I took, everything. She froze for a second, then blurted out, "You don't know what you're talking about, Mike. You're crazy. I was just helping him with a project, that's all." Her voice was trembling, but she was still trying to lie her way out of it. I didn't buy it. Not for a second. I told her, "No more lies, I saw everything. You've been sleeping with your boss. You're cheating on me, Lauren." I saw her eyes flicker. She was angry, defensive, trying to control her emotions. She started yelling, calling me paranoid, accusing me of spying on her, saying I was controlling. But I was done listening to her bullshit. I told her, "It's over. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be married to someone who lies, cheats, and disrespects me like this." Her face twisted even more, and she shot back with a barrage of insults, calling me insecure, pathetic, saying I was just jealous because I couldn't keep her satisfied. I felt my blood boil, but I stayed calm, despite the fire raging inside me. I told her that I'd gathered enough proof to show everyone that I could ruin her career, her reputation, if I wanted to. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked like she was about to cry, but her pride wouldn't let her. She tried to deny it again, saying she'd never cheat on me, that I was just imagining things. But I interrupted her and said, "I saw you sneaking into that hotel with him. I saw the texts. I saw the pictures. Don't lie to me anymore." That's when the tears started to fall, hers, not mine. But I didn't feel anything for her at that moment except disgust. I realized I'd been blind, giving her the benefit of the doubt, trying to hold on to the girl I thought I knew. But she was a different person, selfish, manipulative, dishonest. I knew then that I had to do something I never thought I'd do. I had to end it. Not just the marriage, but my entire trust in her. I told her to pack her stuff and leave. That I didn't want to see her face again. She begged, of course, pleaded, called me names, said I was ruining her life. But I didn't care. Her words were hollow. I felt like I was finally waking up from a nightmare I'd been stuck in for too long. The betrayal cut me deep, but I knew it was over. I told her if she ever tried to contact me again, I'd take legal action. As she left, I stood there watching her drive off, feeling more exhausted than I ever had in my life. I realized that I'd been holding on to hope, to a version of her that no longer existed. I was hurt, furious, but also free. I knew I had to rebuild from this, to pick up the pieces of my shattered heart and move on. I didn't know what the future held, but one thing was clear. I was done with her lies, her betrayal, and the woman I thought I knew. Now I could finally start trying to heal, even if it meant facing the emptiness she left behind. In the days that followed, I felt like I was living in someone else's life. The house was eerily quiet, every room echoing with memories of what we had, what I thought we had. The betrayal had shattered everything I believed in, and I didn't know how to put the pieces back together. I spent long hours just staring at the walls, trying to process the pain, the anger, the sense of loss. It was like mourning someone I'd loved, but also hating her for what she'd done. I won't lie, initially, I was consumed by rage. I wanted to tear her apart, to make her feel the same pain I felt. But as the days went on, that anger started to fade into something else, a strange numbness. Mixture of disappointment and relief. Relief because I finally knew the truth, and the truth set me free from her lies. Disappointment because I had trusted her, loved her, and she had thrown it all away for some fleeting, selfish sex with her boss. I saw a counselor once just to talk through everything. It helped in a way. I learned that betrayal cuts deep, but it also offers an opportunity to start fresh, to rebuild myself and find someone who deserves my trust, not someone who throws it all away for a quick affair. I realized I had to forgive myself for believing in her, for hoping she'd be different. That forgiveness didn't come overnight, but it's slowly coming. I'm not perfect, I still hurt, I still feel angry sometimes. But I know I have to move forward for my own sake. I've started focusing on myself more, going to the gym, reconnecting with friends, even thinking about therapy. I've also started thinking about what I want in a relationship, what I deserve, and how I won't settle for anything less than honesty and respect. Lauren's betrayal taught me that love isn't enough by itself. Trust is everything, and once that's broken, it's almost impossible to fix. Looking back, I realize what I learned from all this. Never ignore the signs, no matter how small. Be honest with yourself about what's going on, and don't let anyone manipulate or lie to you. I also learned that some people are just selfish. Lauren was willing to destroy everything we had for some sex, some secret thrill. That's on her, not on me. At the end of it all, I feel a strange sense of closure. It hurts, yes, but I also feel lighter. The weight of her lies, her betrayal, is lifting. I can finally breathe again. I don't wish her harm, but I do wish her well away from me. I've learned that sometimes the only way to truly move on is to face the brutal truth head on, no matter how painful. And that's what I did. This story is a reminder to anyone out there going through something similar. Trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs. And if someone betrays you, you have to decide whether to fight for the pain they cause or to let go and find your peace. I chose to let go. It's not easy, but it's necessary. I'll heal. I'll move on, and someday I'll love again. Better, smarter, and more cautious than before.